Hello, everybody. It's Question Mark, and we want to first thank our sponsors, Truckit app. And Truckit is a on-demand delivery system in the App Store. You can download it for free. Their website is truckit-app.com, and again, they will help you deliver things to your home that will not fit in your car, and also help you get things hauled away like brush and debris, things like that. So we want to thank Truckit for sponsoring us again today. We want to make sure you should subscribe to the channel, so click that subscribe button down there, and go ahead and leave us some comments and questions in there, so that way we can get to some new topics for you, and don't forget to have those notifications turned on. So with that all being done, the thing today is gratitude. Now, yesterday we talked about comparisons, or in the last video, it might not be yesterday for you, but we talked about comparisons. And that kind of led me into this next segment, which is the gratitude segment. So the thing today is gratitude. I always, when I'm teaching my martial arts students about gratitude, I like to do it in stories or in, kind of like a parable or whatever. So the one that I use a lot is have to or get to. So anything in life can become a have to or a get to. Simple example is, right now it's right around tax season. So do you have to do your taxes or do you get to do your taxes? Well, it depends on, if you lived in a country that you didn't get to keep any of your money, you would say you get to do your taxes. Here, if you have to do your taxes because you'll get in trouble for not doing them, then there's a have to get to. The fact that you have employment and have money to be able to have taxes taken out, that's a get to. So, there's always different ways of doing it. One of the stories I like to tell is about this businesswoman. She, was constantly on the go. She just had so many meetings per day, and when she got free time, she liked to spend her free time alone, just not doing much of anything. But she set aside one day a week to go visit her mom, who was in a nursing home. And that day was Monday. She would go visit her at lunchtime on Monday. So she always blocked that out of her calendar, made sure that, that it didn't get interrupted. And she was very good about making sure she went to see her mom in the nursing home every Monday at lunch. And so, for a long time, people would go, hey, can we do lunch on Monday and have that meeting? And she said, no, I have to go see my mom. She's in a nursing home. And, so this went on for a while, and people would ask, hey, can we meet on Monday? She's like, no, I have to go see my mom. Well, sadly, her mom passes away. And as she's going, about the grieving process, and then she's, getting back to work, and somebody asks if she can meet on Monday, and she started to say no. And then she realized, well, I don't have to go see my mom. And then it dawned on her that it wasn't a have to, it was a get to. And so that's kind of a deep thing to talk about, but it is really lets you know what you can be thankful for. Some things that you think are a chore at the time is something you might miss later, and you need to be grateful for it. There's another story about a woman who was a housewife, which there's nothing wrong with that. And, she wasn't a businesswoman like this other lady, but when her husband would come up from work, she would, cook him dinner and clean his clothes, and if his work jeans had rips or something in them, she would patch them. She would take care of everything. And, and for a while she would get like, man, this is all I'm good for. This is all I do. And, and they had good times, of course. They would go on vacations and spend time together. And he died at work in an accident. And so she's thinking to herself, all the have-tos that she had to do before were actually get-tos because she loved him. So did she have to cook for him? No, she got to cook for him. Did she have to, clean up his clothes and things like that? No, she got to. So it's have to, get to. And if you look at things in your life like that, gratitude can come forward. You can be thankful for the things that seem like they're chores. It's really important that we understand that some of those chores are because we have things in our lives and people in our lives that are priceless, that are more important than the thought of it being a burden, right? And the people that don't see that or can't see that, it's sad for them to not understand what they have in their lives. When I teach martial arts to kids, I kind of tease the kids a little bit and play around, and I'll ask them. I'll say, hey, how many of you guys would like to never have to clean your room again, never have to put your laundry away again? And of course, they all raise their hand. And I go, well, I know exactly how you can do that. And they looked like, oh, really? I can never have to do that again. And I said, yeah. When you go home, tell your mom and dad to take all of your clothes and all of your toys and give them away to other kids. And they just look at you like, wait, what? Why would I do that? And I go, well, then you would never have to pick them up again. You would never have to put your laundry away. And I said, and if you don't like making your bed, tell your parents to give your bed away too. And the kids just, they get a kick out of it, but they understand that the reason they have to do those chores is because they have things to pick up. And there are people out there that don't have things to pick up. So you should be grateful for what you have, but you should also be grateful that you have those things to take care of. And so gratitude is just a huge part of your life, that if you neglect being thankful, if you neglect that gratitude towards other people, even in the small things, just waking up next to my wife, I'm thankful for that every day. And just being able to see my grandkids when we can, that's just amazing to us. So have that gratitude. Now, sometimes it's hard when things are going bad. I remember when we were first starting out, we had a car that just wasn't very reliable, but I still had to get to work every day. And so when I would go out and I would, I'd sit in the car and I'd be like, okay, please start. And I would turn the key and it would start. I was so thankful because I didn't have to try to find another way to work. So even in a bad situation, you could find something to be thankful for, right? We've been in, my wife and I, and some of our kids actually were in some of these accidents where we've been rear-ended, where, the freeway would stop, we would stop, and the people behind us didn't. Just recently, we got sideswiped by some lady that, we were in a turn lane and the light just turned green. And I don't know if she just saw the green light and never hit the brakes, but she missed the people in the lane right to us and went around and, sideswiped us really bad. And we're still actually going to the doctors and stuff for that. But we were really grateful that we were able to drive the car away, that we are okay. We're not, we're still getting things corrected, just like stiff neck, and I had to get a shot in my hand because it messed my hand up a little bit. But I'm, we're grateful that was it. And we really try to look at that every day. I actually used to carry a piece of paper in my wallet, but I changed wallets, so I got to do this again. But I always carried a piece of paper in there, and it said, "Thank you, I love you, forgive me." Okay, because those are things that you should be doing all the time, and all of those things are things to be grateful for, because if you ask somebody for forgiveness and they give you forgiveness, you should be grateful, right? Now I'm gonna talk a little bit about a major incident that happened with my family that we're grateful for to this day. It was back in 1995. It was in October. It was hunting season up in Washington State, and I like to hunt, so we were driving around in this 1978 Chevy Suburban 3/4 ton. We had just bought it. We did a road trip and went down and bought it from this farmer, but the thing was it was immaculate. It was in perfect condition. If you know vehicles, it had a 454 in it, so it would tow anything. And so we got that vehicle, and I was supposed to be going to work in the afternoon, working a swing shift, and it was hunting season, so we figured, hey, you know what, let's just drive around some of the close by logging roads, and I'll just do some road hunting before work, and we can just spend some time together. And so anytime we would stop the Suburban, in the back of the Suburban, we had toys back there and a blanket laid out. So the kids that were old enough would climb over the seat, get in the back, and they would be playing in the back. Well, at that time we had 4. I believe our oldest was 5 or 6. Then we had a 3 to 4 year old, a 2-year-old, and a 10-month-old. So we only had 4 at that time. The 10-month-old was asleep in her car seat, and the others, when we would stop, they'd get in the back and they'd play, and I'd get out binoculars and look around. And so we pulled up to this corner in the logging road, and there was a big drop off to the edge, and there's a clearing down below. So I thought, I'll get my binoculars out and look here. So I, had my gun on my shoulder, and I had the binoculars, and I'm looking over this field, or actually I didn't have my binoculars. I was just looking over, and I thought I saw something. And so I motioned to my wife to bring me the binoculars. So she got out and walked over and handed me the binoculars. I had the keys to the truck in my pocket, and the emergency brake was on. And our 2-year-old son, he ended up with the nickname Crash, not just for this, but for many other reasons. He decided that playing in the back wasn't as fun as he thought, so he would jump up front, and he started playing with the steering wheel and things like that. And so while my wife and I are looking over the cliff, we hear this clunk, and we turned around, and the Suburban was coming at us. What had happened is my son we did not know that the ignition unlocked without a key, but he had unlocked the ignition and played with the lever, didn't start it, but played with the shifter lever and popped it out of park. The emergency brake was on, but it was a pretty heavy rig, so it started moving. I tried to get in front of it, but it had already gained up enough speed that it hit me, knocked me down, kind of ran me over. My wife was able to get the driver door open. She had her hand on the steering wheel and her foot almost on the brake, and the steering wheel turned and threw her out. And I'm grabbing at the running boards, trying to, everything I had, I'm trying to stop this Suburban. It's this huge vehicle. And we sat there helplessly watching our kids go over that cliff. And it was a nightmare. It was one of those things that you just can't believe it's happening. It's like, it was unreal. It was slow motion. It was just the most unreal thing you could think of ever happening. And I got up and off the ground after I couldn't grab it, and I watched the kids in the Suburban go over the cliff, and I got up and I fell back down. And I got up and I fell back down. And then I finally was able to get up and go to the edge of the cliff, and I just jumped. And when I jumped, I landed quite a ways down on the bank, and there was this huge bowl, like a dirt bowl. The cliff came down this way, and then it went this way, and then it went this way. Well, right here there's this huge bowl, and I landed in it, and I remember it was like powder. I landed, and it just like dust flew up, and it was powdery dirt, and it was super soft. And I was like, not thinking at the time, but later I was thinking, that was kind of a strange place to land. And so I looked out over again, and I saw the Suburban going down the hill, and it was really steep. It hits the bottom, it tips up like it's going to go over, and falls back on its wheels. And at that time I look, and I see my daughter, she was about 3, sits up in the back, and I'm thinking, oh my God, she's okay. So maybe the others are okay too. And my oldest son at the time, he had actually gotten out of the car because he had to go to the bathroom, so he wasn't in there. So it was our 3 youngest that were in there. And just then, when I noticed my daughter sit up, this huge old growth stump that broke loose from the Suburban hitting it was following the Suburban, tumbling down the hill. It smashed into the back of the Suburban where my daughter was sitting, and I thought for sure she was gone. And so I jumped out of that bowl, and this all happened in seconds. I mean, milliseconds. And so I jumped out, and as I was going down the hill, my left foot was coming up towards my head. I could see my left foot just bouncing up out of the corner of my eye, and I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. I really didn't even think about it at the time. And my wife had passed out when she saw the kids go over. It just hit her so hard, And so I get down there and I get the back door open, and I hear my wife yelling, "Are they crying? Are they crying?" And because she knew if they were crying, they were alive. So I open the door, and they're all crying. I'm just like so relieved, and the stump stopped inches from my daughter. There was a spare tire mounted in the back, and this is a 3/4 ton Chevy Suburban back in the day when it was a full size, big, huge steel rim, large tire, full size. It had flown over my daughter that was in the car seat. She was like 10 months old, flew over her head and bent the front seat in half and landed at her feet. There was a dropped hitch, you know, that you slide into the back of your underneath your bumper. That was in the back. That flew over her head and landed at her feet. Where our son was standing at the steering wheel, my wife had moved him when she tried to get in, and he had fallen down on the pedals. Well, I had a toolbox. It was this big old Army surplus wood box, and it had a bunch of tools in it: sledgehammer, saws, screwdrivers, wrenches, you know, everything that you would need for an older vehicle or being out in the woods. That flew everywhere. It shattered the box. There was a sledgehammer that hit the windshield where our son was standing. He was on the pedals. There were screwdrivers, wrenches, everything all over around him, but not a scratch on him, not a scratch on our daughter in the car seat, and our daughter in the back had like a little tiny cut on her head from where one of the pieces of glass touched her. And so it's just amazing that all of that happened and they were totally fine. They were absolutely 100% unscathed, other than that little tiny scratch on my daughter. And so it was, like I said, it was October, and turns out that I had severed the ACL in my left knee. That's why I could see my foot. The bowl I landed in was the root hole of where that giant stump was. And you know, I couldn't walk, so my wife kind of made a crutch for me, and we carried, you know, what we could back up to the road. And it took a while to get back up there, and my oldest son's up there waiting for us, and we get up there, and I looked back down, and I could not believe that our kids just went through that and nothing's wrong with them. So I mean, absolutely grateful. We were so grateful. And, you know, we walked I think we walked for about 2 miles until another hunter came by and picked us up and took us into the local town, and we got an ambulance from there. And turns out my wife was pregnant with our 5th child while all this happened. But talk about being grateful. And, you know, Halloween was just around the corner, and my daughter, the 3-year-old, she's always been pretty artistic. She was carving her pumpkin and drawing on it, and my wife goes, "Well, hey, that's a really interesting look. Who is that?" And you know, she had like drawn different things on the side, and you know, for a 3-year-old, it's not going to be exact, but she goes, "Oh, that's the guardian angel." And we were just, "What do you mean?" And she goes, "That angel was in the car with us." So that's, you know, when I told you before that we are people of faith, that was amazing. That was just incredible. And we, you know, so we're still thankful for that to this day, because not only were our kids safe, now we have, like, you know, grandkids. We've got one on the way. We're in the teens on the grandkids, you know, like 16, I think. So we're, you know, we have a lot of grandkids, and if anything would have happened, that wouldn't have been there. So every time we think about that, we are just so grateful. Anytime we're going through something rough, we're just like, wow, what could have happened? And so we're just so grateful. And you know, it's still sometimes hard for me to tell that story. It's just so, you know, huge and powerful. And I just, you know, you can't be any more thankful than that. But no matter what's going on in your life, you can always find something to be thankful for and to show gratitude. And the best way to show gratitude is to show gratitude to others. Tell people how you feel, about them, and how blessed you feel to have them in your life, and how thankful you are that they were there when something was hard for you, or they were there just to be there. My dad just passed away in September, and we were there for, I was not there when he passed. I was actually on the airplane trying to get there. But we were there for my mom, and it was a hard time, but she was very thankful, and she's getting through it, but she'll talk about the good times, and you can just see how grateful she is that she had that. And they were married for, oh my gosh, I think they were almost on 60 years. So they had a good life together, and of course she's going to miss him. We're all going to miss him. But we were grateful for what he gave us, for the lessons he taught us, for the just for being who he was. So anyway, that's my story on gratitude, and that's my hopefully you guys see that it's just a very strong thing that you can give yourself, a gift you can give yourself, but it's also a gift you can give others. Be thankful for what you have, who you have. In any situation, you can find something to be thankful for. And with that, just remember, I am uncut and I'm uncensored. Please subscribe to the channel, turn on those notifications, make sure you put the comments down below, and we will see you next time. ? Out.